In addition to that, obviously I'll talk a bit more later about the Fish Welfare Fund that was created at the start of 2007. There are 4 quarterly meetings I need to attend for that as well. Monies for the Fish Welfare Fund, again I'll explain this, I explained it at the last AGM, but I will explain it again. ECHO and SAA sit as trustees of money that is contributed by the angling trade. To date we have achieved, I think we've got a regular annual income of £35,000 thanks to some big players. Again, consumers can put the pressure on these people. There are big players, I'm going to name them. They're Fox, they're Mainline, they're Nash. These people have been in the trade for years. They are shutting the doors to us. You buy their products. Email them, tell them why they're not interested in supporting the Fish Welfare Fund. I do it every couple of weeks, I will continue to do it. You can make them change their mind, they're not listening to me. But the ones that have contributed, Calder obviously we gave them a big highlight last year, they're massive supporters of what we do. Recently Cemex, we've also got angling publications, we've got Bait Tech, there's people coming on board that are forward-thinking companies. Please start to make decisions when you're buying your tackle, or at least put pressure on where you can. All of you here probably know somebody in the trade, I'm looking at faces. Make sure that you are asking them, why aren't you? Give the feedback to me, if there's a genuine reason, fair enough, but help us in our push to try and get some serious and committed funding for what we do. That way, Mike Healing, who's sitting here, does all the paperwork for me, goes to all the meetings, he gets paid a wage, and he works 7 days a week for ECHO and the SAA. This is what we need to start making our voice bigger. In addition to all of that, the other thing that we get involved in is obviously constant government consultations. Mike picks up a lot of the work, but obviously as the chairman of ECHO, I need to give them feedback. We are in the middle of quite a big one at the moment for the Fish Health Directive. You're talking 90 pages of paperwork, we've got to read it all, we've got to understand what the implications are to angling, and then we've got to make a response. The government are quite lazy, they're like that, don't respond and no problem. You know, so we have to make sure that at every occasion we're given a chance to speak, we are speaking. We are your voice. Simple as that. So if you join, we can get your views in. If you've got any opinions, always email me. So what have we done, really? That's what we get involved in. So what we've achieved this year that's just gone by, if we can flip the next page over, Mike. Oh, I just wanted to keep the big up there. David Bird, the former chairman of the SAA. Some of you may know him. He recently retired. I was kind of like, what's the word, his protege, is that the word? For a few years, learning the angling politics system, which was interesting from a man that had loads of baggage. But he taught me a lot, and his catchphrase was, in unity lies strength. You have all got to believe that. Without everybody pulling together, it will go to wreck and ruin, and that isn't a distant thing that might happen in your lifetime. It will happen. So please, 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 again, that's enough of the membership thing. Next one, please. Okay, so what have we managed to achieve? Start of the year was the opening of the Fish Welfare Fund, which went to the bang with Danny putting 20k in a year, and other people have followed on. So that has allowed us to ease up the pressure on a lot of the individuals here that do it for nothing. The second one was the Five Lakes Carp Show. We had a massive response there. I mean, again, Five Lakes is quite good for ECHO. I don't know why, but it's always historically been quite a good show for us, and the response there was superb. In April, we finally achieved notifiable status for KHV. That was a 4-year battle for ECHO, and that got really nasty at one point. We were going to lose big style, and we really pulled the stops out. We worked, well, I was working every day, really, on the whole thing, and eventually it got put into place on the 1st of April. Now, it was a great milestone for us as a committee, but to be honest with you, it means absolutely sod all. What it means is that if there's a fish death and you suspect it's KHV, by law you have to contact somebody and tell them. After that, there's nothing else to the status, so there's no controls in place. All of that has to follow afterwards. So like I say, that was a great milestone for us because it took us so much effort to get there. But it was like a token thing from the government. There you go, have that, but we'll talk about the rest later. So we're still in work to get that moving. The Sandown show again in November followed a summer of tragedy as far as I'm concerned. We had 23 sites go down with KHV in 2006. 2007, with the notifiable status, sort of gave us the powers before they couldn't name the fisheries. Under notifiable status, we're allowed to name the fisheries. Thankfully, this year, there were actually only 9 sites confirmed. One of them is very, very close to us. I'm sure you're all aware of it. Burfield Match Lake came right in at the end of the temperature window, which was about September. It was very unusual. There are loads of fisheries that are having mass mortalities. One thing I would say to all of you, whether you're in membership or not, if you see carp dying and carp only dying, you need to contact either me or CFAS. You will see we've got some new membership ID cards. The relevant numbers are on the back. We've upgraded them. Make sure you make that call. You are the eyes and ears of what's going on. We can't do it without you. If you see a mortality in general, contact the agency. But again, we can say it in this room, in my opinion, the agency are a reasonable waste of space when it comes to fish disease. So contact me or contact CFAS would be my advice to you. So we went to Sandown with a little bit of, I was well dogged off, to be honest with you. So we went to, I didn't go to Sandown, I was in America because I couldn't face it. Hippie took it, and he reported back a very, very positive response again. Still trying to get a few members to sign up, always seems to be a difficult thing, but the reaction was superb. Everybody patting people on the back. I don't want pats on the back. I want to walk into Parliament with 100,000 people behind me. That's what I want to do. I don't want a pat on the back. We had a bit of a PR breakthrough. At Sandown, everybody was giving us hassle because our website was down at the time. It had been very, very old. We managed to get someone who had offered to do it. Because we got so much to do, we probably weren't feeding him with information as quick as he would like. But ultimately, in early January, the website went live, which has a PayPal online join-in facility, and that's proved extremely successful. Andy will tell you about that a bit more in his report, but it's been upgraded, it's got all the information. It's a work in progress for us, and I'm very, very proud of it. And thanks to John Coppuck, again, who has sort of like done everything for nothing for us there. So, in addition to that, I had an unusual opportunity from Keith Arthur, who's got a radio show, who's been, in the last 2 months, probably the biggest supporter I've had, really. And he asked us to come on a show, which we did, and since then lots of things are sort of going on where we will appear radio, TV. We'll start to get the message wider than we can just doing little events like this. So hopefully the PR will start getting out there. We've always had, the magazines have always been on side. I want you to understand this. DHP, I'm looking at Garth, I know Martin, you know, these people have always said, send us everything you've got. You know, you'll see a bit further in the agenda. I need someone to process what I do into PR. I'm just missing a few volunteers, and I'll make an appeal for some people in a little while, but that is moving forward quite nicely. I think we've finally got on top of the PR. The communication with members thing as well, I mean, we'll try and get that moving. The magazine will come out a bit more often perhaps, and use the website as the best point of contact because it doesn't cost me any money to print it. So. And finally, at the end of January, the reason that Keith Arthur got me on originally, was the success that we had at a KHV meeting. This consultation had been going on for months, I have to say. And the biggest stumbling block was the pressure from the ornamental trade, which is not only very huge, although arguably financially we're about level pegging. The difference is they unify, they stand up, and they are counted. And we struggle to do that as angling. So we need to think about that very seriously, because there we are, me and Mike, against all their lawyers, all their professionally paid people, all funded by a levy on imports, strangely enough, which makes it very difficult to ban imports. But nevertheless, you know, we need a bit more strength and we can fight a few more battles and probably win. But that day, we won. We sat down and we went through 4 or 5 years of paperwork about all the assurances DEFRA had given us when we were poking our nose in and being a pain in their arse, saying that this disease was going to take over our fisheries. Now they're starting to realise it, possibly because we've had so many mortalities, but I'd like to think it's just because I haven't let it go. I email them every 2 days, every 3 days. I am a pain in their arse for you. We can switch it over to the next one.